My skin bristled with chills as I shook off just enough sleep to get through one more hour. Morgan, just days past her first birthday and coming down with a cold, was still awake. Getting her settled maybe even harder tonight, since I had nursed her for what I had promised myself was the last time the night before. Her being awake wasn't anything new. Over the past year, I'd grown accustomed to staying up most of the night with her. She came into the world about a month early. Not enough to be called a preemie, but not enough to be quite right. She was twitchy and agitated, ironically just the way that I felt after 12 months without rest. By her earliest months, we had established a schedule of survival. My husband, her doting father, insisted that someone had to work and signed off child-rearing duty when he went to bed around 10 o'clock. Still young and untrained himself, I can't say I blame him for his retreat. By that time of night, Morgan had already started to twist and wail about 3 hours prior, fighting the demons that I could neither identify nor remove. Our first evening hours were spent bouncing and dancing in front of the television, that heavy, precious box squeezed into a second-hand, battered oak cabinet. The edges of the cabinet, ornate with swirly carvings down the front sides, were splintered from dragging the unit in and out, trying to fix or connect one thing or another. I generally hated the television and wished we'd never turn it on. Even before Morgan was born, it seemed to weigh on me like a great vice, squeezing harder with every mundane show and negative newscast. But while I was doing this evening dance, I escaped into cooking shows, feeding a developing passion. To this day, Emerald, then my favorite, reminded me of Morgan just starting to fuss, Iron Chef further into discontent, and Unwrapped, meltdown. At this point, around midnight, she and I would move the party to her room, where I would rock, cajole, beg. Often my well-meaning husband would enter amid Morgan's curdling screams. "Can't you do something?" I would respond, biting my tongue for more hurtful words. If I knew what else to do, I would be doing it. For several months, this would last until 4 a.m., when I could finally slip away to my marital bed for a 2-hour nap. Tonight, she was a bit older, finally passing the year mark. This milestone seemed to bring a little less angst, the beginnings of easier times. Even weaning was going well. The past few nights, I had even returned to the bed by midnight, occasionally finding my lovely husband, the one I had chosen and married 6 years earlier, awake for a few consoling words. It had been a demanding year. I was completely devoted to breastfeeding, despite the colic, the long nights, my own illnesses and inadequacies. For most of her first year, every 2 hours she needed me. Sure, I would allow my husband or mother to give her a bottle occasionally, and at church it was a necessity. But for the most part, it was our bond, our rite of passage. All those terrible nights, wondering if I was good enough or if we would survive. The only time she was content was at my breast. I marveled at the wonderful absurdity of this arrangement. Imperfect as I was, she could get all she needed from me. This particular night, Morgan was just starting to get congested, making her understandably unhappy. I wondered if it was a wise decision to make this the first night without nursing. Okay, one more time. I looked around her tiny, sunshine yellow room, wanting to capture the moment in my mind. As she drank, I also drank in every detail. Her brown eyes looked up at me as if to say, "Thank you, Mommy. I love you. Just one more." Her little hand, now slightly fattened by my own giving, lay across my breast. The moon glowed outside her window, seeming to shout through sheer white curtains into the silent house. The house alarm system clicked as it acknowledged the rocking chair's gliding movement. I fought off some emotion over the event's significance, telling myself I need to go on to bed. She was content, finally silent and half asleep. I'm not very emotional anyway. I laid her in her bed and crawled into my own across the hall of our tiny first home. My husband slept in the silence. I gazed at him, remembered him. I remembered myself and slept.